Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch, and welcome today to the review of a Neymar that isn't a diver. That was a football joke. I believe in North America you refer to it as soccer. Here in Australia, pretty much any game played with a ball is referred to as footy. That includes rugby league, rugby union, Australian rules football, and of course proper football. It can get terribly confusing sometimes. This weekend was a big weekend, of course, for football fans. It was the start of the English Premier League season. It was, of course, therefore the start of the English Premier League fantasy football season. Now, I've been playing EPL fantasy for about 6 or 7 seasons now, with admittedly mixed results, generally depending on whether I can maintain my interest for a full season. So I thought this year, to add a little bit of spice, I would start the Just One More Watch Fantasy Football League, and I will give a watch as a prize to the eventual winner of the league. I will leave a link in the description of the video with the code you need to join. But anyway, enough about football, Jody. Let's talk watches. This is the third Neymar watch that I've looked at on the channel so far. Last year I reviewed one that I referred to as the Beast, a big, chunky 44mm and rather heavy Rolex deep sea dweller homage. Now, they were knocking those out for $199 just before Christmas, an incredible deal for that set of specifications. Earlier on this year, I reviewed a similar but different 40mm, more a regular Submariner homage, but this one had a 10-year quartz battery. Ideal Weekender certainly brought something a little bit different to a saturated market. So when Neymar showed me the pictures of this watch, I was delighted to be able to review one on the channel. I said, yes, please. Was my enthusiasm misplaced though? Let's flip the camera and find out. So Neymar number 3 arrived here in Sydney a couple of weeks ago, and I've been trying to fully form my opinions about this watch since then. Why was I so excited in the first place? Well, the price for a start. These are $129 on Amazon. You will obviously find a link to that also in the description of the video today. Now, they come in a bunch of different colorways. I've got a black dial gold hands, there's rose gold tones, there's a silver dial version, there's also a blue dial version, so you're bound to find a colorway that you like the look of. Great set of specs as well for the money. Seiko hacking and hand winding movement, flat sapphire crystal, and at least the capacity to go diving, because this one is a 200-meter water resistant watch with a screw down crown, though for some slightly unusual reason they've chosen to put a leather strap on it. I was also rather excited by this watch's good looks. I think handsome good looks. I think this watch bears more than a passing resemblance to the Rolex Oyster Perpetual shown here, the black dial version. Have a look at those big baton indices and the hand size, shape, proportion, overall dimensions as well, this Neymar being a 40mm. So a good set of specs, a great price, and something that looks quite a lot like a Rolex. Clearly Neymar continuing to use Rolex as the inspiration for their models. We've got a 40mm diameter case, just under 13mm thick, lug tip to lug tip of 48mm, though as you see there, a nice bit of curvature to the lug, so this one wears very well on the wrist, I'll show you later on. 20mm lug width, which I think is a good choice, nicely in proportion with the case shape, and on this supplied leather strap, this one weighs in at a smidge over 75 grams. So far so good then, looking like a decent, versatile, all day, everyday piece, a watch that you can wear Monday to Friday, and then get wet at the weekend if you are prepared to change the strap on it, that is. Very simple 316L stainless steel case and crown, 3-piece case I believe there. Very consistent brushing throughout, no different tones, just all brushed. Case back is a shiny exception to that rule though. As you can see there, this one has begun to scratch up nicely in my care or lack thereof. Just advertising sapphire crystal, 200-meter water resistance, and this Seiko automatic movement as mentioned. And that Seiko movement, the NH35, needs little introduction, but I'll give it one anyway. 24 jewel hacks and hand winds, but a 42-hour power reserve, and they are generally pretty reliable and accurate. The one in this Neymar no different, spinning away in the boxy winders there for a couple of weeks, coming in at around +4. So I've had some great results out of these NH35s over the years, this one no exception, and you have the added practicality of a date wheel, a date window at the 3 o'clock there. And zoomed in on the dial, and you've got a nice clean tool watch aesthetic. Just a printed dial, but those indices are applied. Nice big batons as well. Very simple, just a minute track around the outside, denoting in 5-minute margins, complementing those batons nicely. And there's a little beveled edge to the date window, the date frame there at the 3 o'clock. Handset on this gold model are matching gold, all gold. Very similar to the ones on the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, perhaps a little bit slimmer than they might have been. They could have been a couple of mil thicker, I think, given the overall dimensions of this watch and the fact that there isn't a bezel on it, being a kind of tool style watch. There is a sliver of lume on each of those and a big dollop of lume on the end of the lollipop on the rotating second hand, as you can see there. A little bit different from the Rolex. And as you can see from the outdoor shots, there is a little bit of a sunburst effect on the dial. Perhaps not so noticeable in this black dial version. If you want to see a little bit more of a sunburst effect, then the blue one or the silver one. Clearly the way to go, but I think a nice clean aesthetic with the Neymar. Pretty good looking watch overall. So far so good then. Well, here come the moans and the niggles. My first moan is about the strap. Looks okay, I mean shiny faux croc leather. Not really an original thought there, but Neymar embossed, decent stitching, and it comes with a fairly nice little Neymar engraved buckle on it. But the strap is massive. This is it on its smallest hole on my 7-inch wrist, and I can pretty much spin the watch all the way around. Not quite sure why they put a strap this long on a 40mm watch. I mean, 40mm is a great size for most people. Looks fantastic on my 7-inch wrist, I think, that curvature of the lug as mentioned. But this strap really is for a bigger watch, or it's for much, much bigger guys than I am. I mean, I'm not sure how many people with 8.5-inch wrists are going to be wearing 40mm diameter watches, which is a shame. What I'll do is I'll get it off of this leather strap and I'll pop it on a couple of NATOs and other options that I think Neymar should be looking at if indeed they do a second version of this watch in the future. First up, there it is on an excellent grey Slimline Nato from Moose Straps. It actually fits my wrist now, and you can get it wet if you so choose, because much more suitable for weekend activities, salt water, etc, etc, a NATO strap than that slightly useless leather that it's supplied on. Or what about a rubber strap? Now this is a Tropic from Uncle Seiko, but you don't have to spend $40 on one of Larry's. There are so many cheap rubber strap options. Again, I think this would have made this watch a little bit more versatile, true to its purpose, truer to its purpose than the leather strap. And while I've got the strap off, some little sharp edges on the edge of those lugs. This is a budget watch, you shouldn't expect miracles, but they could do with giving that a little bit of an extra polish, maybe spending an extra $10 on the case, just taking it up a notch. And it's a similar story, I'm afraid, with the lume. BGW9 on the indices, little slivers on the hands as mentioned, and that lollipop on the second hand. Now BGW9 is a tough one. It's got that ice blue colour, looks great when there's plenty of it, and it does ape Chromalite, Rolex's own proprietary lume, which also has that similar ice blue tone. However, if you don't put heaps of BGW9 on your watch, then the overall effect can be a little bit disappointing. So the Neymar has BGW9 lume, but it probably doesn't have enough BGW9 lume. They could have done with dumping another 5, 6, 7 layers on top of those indices, and as I said, maybe slightly larger handset would have enhanced the overall lume effect. So how do I wrap up this one then? Well, if you're a big boy and you're not going to get it wet, then there is a nicely manufactured, versatile, I think handsome watch here with a decent set of specs, including sapphire and a Seiko movement for $129 US. But I kind of get the feeling that Neymar had a good idea here, but they didn't quite see it through to its conclusion. They perhaps focused more on the budget and the bottom line price tag than what this watch could have potentially achieved. I get the feeling that it might have been better on a nice all brushed bracelet, or perhaps a rubber strap as mentioned, with a few more layers of lume and a little bit more refinement on that case. That would obviously push up the price, but I would be more inclined to pay $199 for a watch without the deficiencies of this Neymar than $129 for a watch with them. So there you have it, Neymar number 3, and kind of a dive watch, kind of not a dive watch because of that leather strap. I like what they were doing here. I like that kind of tooly aesthetic, very much like the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, and I definitely think there is a place for a watch like this in my collection. I also had to keep reminding myself that this one sells for $129 and I shouldn't ask for too much. However, I think if Neymar made a second version of this watch, put it on a bracelet and pumped up the lume a little bit, maybe for $199, they would have an absolutely dynamite watch on their hands. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.